Ladies and gentlemen, big tariff news.
Hey, kia ora koutou whānau. Welcome back to Big Hairy News. Hey, Chewie.
Oh, hi.
How was your sleep on the couch?
My sleep on the couch was good. Obviously I woke up, I yawned like a Disney princess, birds were singing, then I noticed the time and I sprinted the entire length of my house going, I'm sorry.
All right.
Good
You've
times.
just demonstrated my worst nightmare is falling asleep on the couch and then just, missing an entire episode. I wouldn't put it past me.
That's good. Super good.
Oh, how was any plans for your Friday, Saturday weekend, I assume?
Probably more couch sleeping, I'll be honest. I've gotten a taste for it. So yeah. No strong plans here. I've had a brutal couple of weeks at work and that sort of thing, so I'm kind of just wanting to do nothing, a glorious nothing.
I feel that very much. Well, I'm not Pat. I feel like I should change my name to reflect that. But I'm here tonight in place of Pat, who is away at a wedding. So I hope Chewie doesn't mind, but we're having a half and half hairy, half bright news. Bit of a slash between.
I can't help but feel that Pat leaving us today, God, I made it sound like he died. Forever in our thoughts, Pat. He's left just the dumbest day. Everything in the news today has been just like kicked in the head by a horse, brain damage, dumb from start to finish.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but it's been fun. You can't doubt there hasn't been at least entertaining. Come on.
Oh yes. I do like. I mean, we'll dig into the story proper, but there was a clip that I saw of Trump's announcement of the tariffs, and then like stock market tickers in the side as they crashed as he spoke. That was pretty special. I was a fan of that
those. Oh, are we done with cuddles? Okay. Sorry, I've had Luna on my lap. She was desperate for cuddles. Now I can move my mic. That's a bit better. Well, before we get into it, should we do the regular housekeeping for the evening that I totally had set up? I was saying to Chewie before that my cat was desperate for cuddles, so I've been one-handed trying to pet her and console her for whatever reason that she wants consoling. She's just been a bit needy. You know how sometimes children are like that? They just want to cuddle.
It is a cat. They have no middle state. It is needy or aloof, and that's it.
She has been fed, so it's definitely not that. I can tell you that. Big thank you to our patrons who are here and there and everywhere and help us make sure that the show continues and is what it is today. Big thank you to all of you. And if you'd like to join, go to patreon.com/BigHairyNews. And a big thank you to the 100 people that joined in the last 3 months. Was that the goal and we got there? That was the
yes.
The gist
yes,
of it?
that was I think a Mark Mitchell aspirational goal. But instead of how Mark Mitchell did it, of just going, well, actually, I meant this year. No, I meant in the next 2. All right, I meant in 3 years, and don't hold me to it. We actually did it. We hit our KPIs, Chris. Did you hit? We hit our KPI.
We sure did. Our spontaneous KPIs too. is a sneak peek of things that you can see. There's the odd interview that Sous Chef Pat's pre-recorded. He'll get that up there for the patrons before the show. And you also get merch teasers. So if you want to get those sorts of things, you can sign up to Patreon, or you can support us by sharing or liking or chatting with us and all of that good stuff. The other way you can support us is the store, where you can get official BHN merch, such as Chewie, orange hoodie Chewie.
The
Chewie
health and
foo-foos.
safety option, you know, at the end times, or if you're lost in the bush, that is the perfect piece of merch.
Agreed. You won't be mistaken for a deer, that's for sure. Well, I hope so. I hope not. And lots of other fun stuff, including stickers, as well as some new stickers, which I don't think are up just yet. No, not yet. But they're coming. Oh, but we do have tax work, less, tax wealth, more on the store. So that's cool. All the fun stuff. All the fun stuff. So you can support us that way as well. But either which way, thanks for joining us tonight. Yeah, we got a fun one tonight. We got the US. We got Treaty Principles Bill. We got more US. I feel like it's going to be a bit of a shit on the US kind of night, which is not
Strap in.
necessarily a bad thing because they're kind of being dicks at the moment. But we will start with the tariffs. The old tariffs. Trump's Liberation Day, which he, I don't know, I think it's like the last week that he dubbed it, the Liberation Day or the Day of Tariffs.
Why? Why is it Liberation Day? Even that doesn't make any sense. Like, it's just
Nothing
so
does.
foolish. I do like that
does.
the announcement was supposed to be on April Fool's Day, and then someone obviously said, maybe not that day. And then they postponed it again from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. so they could announce it after the stock market closed.
Yes, I did see that.
So yeah, full confidence. Full confidence in it.
Right. Well, I'm not good at explaining this stuff, so I'm going to let people who know more than me. Unfortunately, not Craig Rennie. Would have been great to have him on the show tonight because he would have probably explained this better than I ever could. But the news can do it for us. So I'm going to play the 3 news one, and then I'm going to play the 1 news one because there's different things on each one. And I'm going to point something out to you, Chewie, that my partner pointed out to me, and it made me absolutely giggle on the TVNZ one, which I think you'll appreciate. Let's hope this all works.
Countries have been quick to discuss payback. New Zealand has already ruled that out, with our Deputy Prime Minister presenting today's news as a win.
We've got out of a situation where we could have done far, far worse. It's a day of celebration.
The US stock market is definitely not celebrating.
I've never seen anything like it. This, I think fair to say, is worse than the worst case scenario of the tariffs that many in the market expected the president to impose.
Economist Justin Wolfe is sharing these figures by the World Bank to demonstrate just how dramatic today's announcement is. A list of average tariffs as of 2022 shows the US was at 1.5%. New Zealand was at 1.7%. Now America will quite literally be off the chart with the highest rate since 1910. Trump did provide one freebie on Liberation Day.
I brought a hat just in case it got too windy, but here, would anybody like a hat?
The president worried about the Washington wind, but an economic storm is brewing.
Okay, let's see. So who wins in Trump's trade war?
Well, the whole idea here is to boost domestic investment. So Trump is counting on billions all of a sudden flooding into the domestic market. He's made it very clear if you're making everything in America, then you won't pay any tariffs. But economists, not just in America, all over the world, are very sceptical about that. They're actually going as far as to say this is a disaster for America's economy. We know that tariffs push up prices. We know that often it ends up hurting the consumer more than the company. We also know that American factories who want to make their own stuff are now going to be importing things. Their costs will go up and they'll become less competitive in the global market. So it really does seem to be affecting America as much as it will the rest of the world.
Yeah. I'll show you the second clip as well in a second. But my favourite thing in terms of the list of countries is, Norfolk Island?
Mm-hmm.
They got slapped with tariffs. Do you know what's on Norfolk Island?
Next to nothing.
Yeah, birds. 2000, the population of 2,000 birds, and they were like, we don't export or import anything. Why did you tariff us?
There's another, like everything to do with this, it's stupid. But me and my workmates were going through the list. And yeah, there's the obvious ones like Norfolk Island. I think there's another uninhabited island that's just got penguins on it, and that features on the list.
Yeah.
They're like, my workmate was going, what do you think Madagascar exports? Because he's just slapped them with a big tariff. Or Lesotho, the landlocked country in the middle of South Africa, something like a 96% tariff. None of it makes any sense. They've also made a pretty, some countries might say this, a pretty big diplomatic mistake by mentioning Taiwan by name as a country separate from, say, the other China, East Taiwan. Yeah, so that is something that American diplomats have been tripping over themselves for decades to sort of go, oh, no, there's one China. Oh no, we don't know where to go with this. It is spectacular. When they were explaining how they calculated the tariffs, because everyone's like, none of this makes any sense. I assume someone in the clip is going to mention this. Oh, yep, cool.
Yep.
Strap in, chat, because the way that they worked out the percentages is insane. Like, there's
I'm not a math person.
Anyone, it's not even the
but
math.
It does seem strange.
It's just, that's not how tariffs work. Like, there's nobody in the building. I feel like there's one guy there going, hey guys, does anybody else know what a tariff is, or is it just me? Nobody's listening to me. Do I exist? Because none of it makes any sense.
Well, let's see if TV1 can do a good job of explaining this. This is their article. I'm going to point something, just a little bright spark of the day that might just make you giggle a little bit. Nothing to do with the tariffs, really. It's just a bit of a giggle at someone's expense.
No audio on that one.
I didn't press the button, guys.
Gotta press the button.
I didn't press the button. Try that again.
Imports. Here's business correspondent Katie Bradford.
80% of the skincare products manufactured at this Christchurch factory are shipped to the US. They'll now be hit with a 10% tariff.
For us, the US is strategic, and we know that it's an opportunity for us to grow further. It's what we do with that pricing and whether it's the right thing to put a price increase through.
Proudly viewing the products, the Prime Minister...
Look at them going, yeah, I know what's happening.
Can you tell me what's different about what's going on with the people in this photo? Can you just spot the difference?
I tell you what, they've saved some money on hairnets.
They sure have. My partner pointed it out to me, and he's like, look, he doesn't need one.
That's why I could never work in a factory, to be honest, when they said, oh, you need to wear a hairnet and a beard net. And I'm like, nah, I'm out.
It's just funny. That's all I had to point out for you.
Mr. making his views
smooth
on
like a
President Trump's tariffs clear.
We don't think that is good for global trade. We don't think countries do well when there are high tariffs and when there are trade wars.
Trump's trade barriers report had just a short blurb about New Zealand, singling out pork, wine exports and pharmaceuticals. Most of our tariffs are in the 1 to 2% range, but the confusing calculations used by Trump's team claim we charge 20%.
My understanding is that it's based on our trade surplus with America divided by our exports to America. And that takes you to about 19.6% if you use US data. So I think that's where they got their 20% from. It's certainly not the tariff that we impose on US imports.
Whatever the
So that kind of went over my head, but I did find something, someone did explain this a little bit. The average tariff is 1.9%. The US had likely come to that figure through a combination of the GST rate, plus we do have some tariffs against the US and some products set at a minimum WTO agreed level. But given that explanation, he said it made no sense that stated tariffs for Australia was 10%. They also gave a GST, and similarly, the United Kingdom is assessed at 10 as well, and they have a value added tax.
It is just not
Yeah.
what a tariff is. So that's why everybody's really confused about it. When he did that, you saw New Zealand government officials and New Zealand trade officials going, why the fuck does he think we put a 20% tariff where there are tariffs, because we don't have a free trade agreement with the US. We've got negotiated trade deals, sure, but it's not free trade. So there are tariffs. I think the largest tariff mentioned was about 1.9%. So when they saw that much, much higher figure there, people just went, where the fuck has this come from? And yeah, one pass was, oh, it's GST plus this, that kind of gets us close. But it seems when you look at what he's done for other countries, it is the trade deficit, which is not a tariff. So he is pointing retaliatory tariffs at countries that are just trading like all countries. There's no country out there that trades with another country completely equally. We give you this much stuff and we take that much stuff from you. It's not equal. You know, China's trade deficit with they make and manufacture so much stuff. They're always exporting way more than they import. And some countries and some economists sort of go, well, it's got to be much more equal. Otherwise, people call in their debts and all of this sort of stuff. But decades and decades of removing things like trade tariffs and getting closer and closer to free trade. And that's why the free trade deals are so important, is, you know, this non-protectionist global economy is something that's been worked at for like half a century. And Trump, in the space of a couple of months, has gone, fuck it, we're going to set fire to the whole thing. We're the best. It's mad. I did see a suggestion that they've just, because if you ask some of the main consumer AIs out there, such as Elon's Grok, what a trade tariff is, this is the formula that it spits out. So, I mean, maybe if the entire US government was staffed with absolute window-licking, helmet-wearing cultists, that they must just go, people say we don't know what a tariff is, but I asked Grok and we are deploying that against the entire world. Doesn't seem unbelievable. Seems crazy, but not unbelievable.
Yeah. So that's great. Tariffs for everyone is basically what I got out of that. I was arguing the point with my partner that should we just retaliate and also do well, no, he's doing reciprocal, we're doing retaliatory. Well, not we are, but the rest of the world. And he said, no, our economy and our GDP is kind of shit. We would just hurt us more. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair. And I was like, but the rest of the world's kind of doing it. And he's like, yeah, because their GDP is much higher than us. And I was like, well, Germany's getting hit pretty hard because they're also getting the auto industry tariffs as well, which is going to hit the luxury, the German car market, the Volkswagens, BMWs, Porsches, I think was the other one.
Yeah.
And
I
he's
mean,
like, yeah, but look at their GDP, and I was like, oh yeah, it's a couple trillion compared to ours.
See, and this has always been the thing with tariffs, is it's a protectionist policy. Like there have always been quite high tariffs towards cars, especially coming into the US, because the US has its own massive auto industry, right? It employs lots of people, it makes lots of money. So if you put tariffs on those cheaper foreign cars coming in, like from Japan and Korea, and now especially Chinese EVs and German, European autos, all of that sort of stuff, they have quite a high markup on it to make them less attractive to American buyers, to keep their own auto industry going. And traditionally, those auto manufacturers have got around that, but like Volkswagen will just go, all right, well, what if we do a factory in Alabama and create a whole bunch of jobs and we just make Volkswagens in America? Will they get tariffed? No. So then they do that.
Yeah.
It's a way of
happen,
protecting your own economy. And then when it comes to us, where we are, you know, a country that lives or die on agricultural exports. And look, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert at this sort of like geopolitical level of economics and that sort of thing. But when Luxon waded into them and go, yeah, well, I don't think it's good for the global economy, but I'm also not going to do anything. Sure. If we'd put retaliatory tariffs on the US, would they even fucking notice? Probably not. But what do our exporters think? Do they sort of see what Luxon said today of like, oh, yeah, or what Winston going, oh, it's a cause for celebration that it wasn't worse than this? Do they look at our government and go, why don't you guys have our backs? Because now we have to fucking deal with it.
Yeah, that's why I was like, well, shouldn't we retaliate in some regards? Because it kind of, I saw it as just
right.
weak. They kind of just walked over. It's like, yeah, oh well. Like it would have been nicer if he'd said something along the lines of, look, we can't afford to do retaliatory tariffs on the US. They're much bigger than us, and we're not as big as the EU, for example, or Australia, who I just looked up, also have a $1.7 trillion GDP. So compared to our 200 billion, I think it is. But it would have been nice for him to at least say, look, we'll do our best and we'll find a solution to keep our prices down, or work with the industries that are going to be affected by this. Like, I don't know, maybe food exports are going to go, or imports are going to go up a little bit. For example, you know, could we tackle that supermarket duopoly a little harder and actually do something about it to keep prices at a certain rate? I don't know, but it would have been nice, I agree, if he just said something along the lines of, we can't, but we'll try and find another solution to mitigate the impact on you guys.
Yeah, certainly that business, like if I owned that business that was, you know, in that piece with Luxon looking on at machinery that he doesn't understand, I would certainly not be looking to continue the push into America. I'd be looking for other markets. And I think that is something that is going to be the result of this. I think people are going to go, well, if you make it too hard to get into our markets, we'll just take our product elsewhere. And you see what you see in Canada of very much a like buy Canadian, don't buy American campaign that is doing some damage, especially to the whiskey manufacturers. The bourbon manufacturers are really, really hurting. And that sort of, okay, well, he doesn't want to trade with us, we'll trade with each other sort of thing. And look, the side effect of that is that it might stimulate the US economy. Maybe, as long as they don't need steel from Canada or raw materials from elsewhere in the world. If they've got it in America, maybe they'll be fine. But I think when all of the experts are sitting there and going, well, look, conservatively, we think this is going to increase costs to the US consumer by about $6,000 a year. People are going to notice that.
And I think it was
will this affect me here in New Zealand? Probably not.
I think it was $140 to the average person a year is what it will cost us. So I guess $140 looks pretty slim compared to $6,000 on the US. It's yeah.
But all
crazy
of this
stuff.
goes against economic theory. All of this stuff, all this protectionist tariffs and trade wars and that sort of thing. This isn't new thinking. This isn't someone going, "Wow, I've got a fucking great idea that's never been tried before." It's been tried before. In the 20s, you know, the turn of last century, and the effects were catastrophic. And that's why everybody went, "Yeah, you don't go down this road." But here we are. Look on, grab your popcorn, your locally produced popcorn.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the rest of the world does. Someone did point out that Germany doesn't inflict tariffs on use. It is the EU because they're part of the EU. But because the EU is kind of a broad economic powerhouse in a sense, you know, kind of covering all of the small and the big countries. I would hope and I assume that the small guys who perhaps have a GDP similar to us will perhaps get carried a little bit by the guys who can afford the tariffs, the retaliatory tariffs, is what I assume. And they also can just trade between each other. So I'm hoping between all of us, we can go, hey US, do you wanna not do that? Because it's gonna hurt you more than it's gonna hurt the rest of us.
Oh, they've got to work it out for themselves, whether they do before they collapse. Who knows? Maybe in Trump's fourth term, as he rounds 102 years of age.
I was just about to say that. Someone said third term, and I'm like, dude, he's gonna roll over and die in the next 10 years. Surely. The guy, like, you've seen how much presidents age in their terms. And sometimes it's only like, sometimes it's 8 years. Typically, they kind of age a good 20 in their 8 years. But even 4 years, Trump went from looking a little bit more plump and perky. Like, by the end of that, he looks pretty
Don't like the use of the word perky there.
Perky.
Completely inappropriate.
Yeah, probably not.
Oh, who do you think's going to go first, Trump or Winston?
No, Winnie's got it. He's got the weird, I don't know if it's a gene or it's like a genetic something that happens to people that's like chronically smoke. Have you ever had people in your life who are chronic smokers, packs a day sort of stuff, and they just seem to live on forever? They don't get lung cancer.
I think what
they
it
just
is
keep going.
Inside his wizened old body, you have like the diseased alcoholic liver fighting with the tobacco cancer ridden lungs, and someone's going to come out on top, but it's a stalemate of what's going to kill him, and that'll just mean he lives forever.
Yeah, he's smoked and drunk so much that he's preserved himself.
It's kind of like chemotherapy. His body is just such a hostile environment for any other organism. He's just going to live forever.
Yeah. So I mean, Winnie's doing. I mean, they're both kind of doing okay. I'd say Winnie's probably doing a bit better, but they're both kind of losing their minds. Trump is doing the whole waddle thing. Like, he can't dance. He just does the shuffle. He looks like he's pooped his pants just about every... There you go.
Right.
We all know he's having some issues. So I don't
dear.
know. But I can't see him living out this. He might live it out, but I swear he's going to cock it in some regard to before the end of the
Will
term.
America survive him?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm expecting a civil war. That is not what I expected to see in my lifetime. I assumed I would see, and I was very, what do you call it? Not the opposite of pessimistic. That I would live out my 80 odd years, because I thought climate change would kind of kill us. But maybe it's a civil war, and it's the Cold War turns, and we all get nuked. I don't know. Or America decides to invade us because we're close to the Antarctic or something. We're closer to China and they can launch missiles from here.
Look,
I don't know.
at this case,
possible.
if they do invade us, I think it's because they're lost. They're probably looking for that island full of penguins that they kicked off a retaliatory trade war against, and they're like, we're not going to stand for this disrespect from those fucking birds.
You could always, they might just be thinking, you know, you're not paying your tariffs, so we're coming for your penguins. Kind of like what do you call it? Reposition. When you don't pay your taxes or whatever, and they repossess. They're gonna repossess the penguins. All right.
I
we
will
should
be
get
on the
some.
front line of that fight.
Oh, I'd love to be. We'll get through some super chats through some super chats. Chewie Burb, $2. $900 million extra cost on New Zealand exports. Thanks, Trump. Yeah. I think a lot of people, I think, across the board have just said the details are a little bit... I think it's literally, so far the details are Trump holding up that giant chart and going, he's never seen that thing before. He's never seen that thing before. And he's basically just reading it going, oh yeah, Japan, we love these guys. Shinzo Abe was great. It's a real shame what happened to him, assassination. But, you know, it's all part of the game. We got to put the... And then he's on to the next one. I'm just like, what the... And he's like, Vietnam, great guys, love them. But, you know, if you're gonna tariff us, we're gonna tariff... It's like, to fuck.
He's like, we've never done anything to Vietnam or Japan. I don't know why they're doing it.
He suspiciously stopped. I think the next one on the list was Israel, and I swear he just saw it and just went, "Oh, okay, put it down, put it
Not
down."
going to touch that. Fuck this. Throw it away.
Fun times. Peterson for Simpson. $5. Wear the Chewie hoodie, pretend you're a road cone, and get reported to Brooklyn about it. Oh, what a story this week! I don't know if you saw it, Chewie, but that was the stupidest news story I have seen this whole week.
And that's high praise because it has been a stupid week.
Oh yeah, 100%. We have one on our front lawn just to stop the grass. My neighbor is a what do you call it? Gardener, landscaper, and she got a cone just put on the piece of grass that she re-sowed for us because everyone kept driving over it. And Jonathan opened the door to get the cat, and he's like, "Oh God, she's right. There are road cones everywhere." and I'm like, "What?" Oh yeah, there is. There's one on our front lawn. No, over $3.49 late fee. It's gone up a little bit. Is that including the tariff? Is that why it's $3.49? Okay, gotcha. Usually $2. Guess it's heading us pretty quick. Kiwi Bird for $2 says Winston is coping hard.
Yeah, isn't he though?
Simping.
It's like he
He's
got
simping hard.
when he was over in America, he got a re-education or something like that. He's come back going, yeah, everything that they're doing is great. The way that they're talking about people is fantastic. I'm all for it. It's super weird. He's always had a weird fascination with the US. It's very strange. Winston's strange.
He is
I'm sure that's news to him.
He's a strange man. Strange man. Hexwood for $5 says Chewie, that guy who knows what a tariff is, was fired by Doge. That is definitely on our list of things to talk about.
Yep.
That's been probably the most interesting news of the week. I don't know. Everything's just crazy. Everything's interesting. Probably the cheese hat's the weird one, really. Right. Well, do you want to talk about that then? Before we talk about the treaty principles, Will?
Yes. Let's look at that. Just more idiocy.
So first on that is
sorry, just beforehand, I just spotted Ben's comment.
Oh.
It's just so good. Trump, I love Vietnam. I've never been myself. Bone spurs makes it hard to go and visit.
Yeah. Can I please have my keyboard? Oh, hang on. We got it? Hang on. Okay, we got this. Well, the first part of the news is that Elon Musk lost the Supreme Court justice or judge election. It's a real shame. Didn't realize he was running, but apparently he was. Basically, he tried to buy the election and go against the
$140 million US.
Yeah,
he pumped into that.
Yeah, almost a bit
even
of a...
doing his weird his check giveaways. You know, it proved that you voted for my candidate and turned up to this thing, and I'm giving away $2 million checks, which is totally not bribery. I'm sure you understand that.
Oh yeah, totally not.
And he still lost. Amazing.
Yeah, so he got absolutely smashed. I think the Democrat-backed candidate won by a good 10 points. 55% versus 45%. So yeah, 100 this one says 21 million that he lost. It could have been, I assume it must have been more than that.
Yeah, like I saw like $140 million listed in a couple of different places. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, this is not the first time he's tried it. He's done it in other places for other Republican candidates. He's trying to stack the Supreme Court or the judiciary. He believes the judiciary in America is too woke, too left. And yeah, he's pumping money to get more of his picks in there, which is, of course, exactly how democracy is supposed to work. I don't know why everybody's bent out of shape. If you've got more money, you have more influence. That's how it works. That's how the Greeks envisioned it.
He helped Trump get elected with more than $200 million in November. So he's throwing money around. That one worked, but whether or not it's because he put $200 million into it or whether he needed to put $200 million into it, I don't know. But it didn't work this time. So Susan Crawford, the Dane country judge, won the race for preserving Liberals 4-3. So Liberals or Democrats, left-leaning, now have the core majority. And the big thing about Wisconsin was that they have some sort of law or regulation in which a car manufacturer can't also have a car dealerships, I think, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So if he had influence in the Supreme Court in Wisconsin, he might have been able to challenge that. But it was not to be. So yeah, it's a bit of a funny one. It's nice to see that people have gotten out there and voted, and it's nice to see that democracy is kind of working. Voting still kind of works.
Yeah,
I feel like it's kind of like you're on the razor thin edge of like it's still working.
It feels like it worked in spite of everything. I just saw a comment go by that Wisconsin is gerrymandered to fuck, and it absolutely is. We keep on talking about this with the American system, is like everything is eroded. Everything is, the deck is well and truly stacked. The system's fucked, so when something like this happens, I feel like even if it looks close, that this feels more like a landslide. And it's these little things that sort of go, okay, are people sort of waking up to the fact that this is really, really fucked? My friends in the States have mentioned that there are near constant protests and rallies that just don't seem to be getting media coverage. People, we saw the footage of those town hall meetings with very, very angry people, absolutely letting their representatives know how they feel. That sounds like it's constantly going off at the moment. So I hope with something like that, which would usually be a super fucking dry, no one gives a shit election, who cares about a judicial election in Wisconsin, this has just been a real focus and people have actually got out there and voted. Maybe it's a sign of something good, but who knows?
Well, the second sign of good is Elon Musk has been ousted to some degree. He's being pushed aside, nearing his 130-day window as a special employee, supposedly. There's been a lot of chatter that the Republican Party do not like Elon Musk. They think he's doing really shit for the Republican Party. He's got a lot of people really pissed off at him because they didn't elect him, they elected Trump. And I think the Wisconsin election was kind of a, what do we say, like a premonition of what was to come, or a bit of a wake-up call to the Republicans that Elon Musk does not get them votes. In fact, it might actually polarize people a little bit more. And yeah, so they're quite happy to get rid of him. And it's seems to have done a lot of damage, and perhaps more than what the Republicans would have liked to have seen.
I'm reading that as that they've realised that he has a lot of money and he can really swing things potentially. But when they were in close proximity to him, they realised what a weird and annoying doofus he is. And they've just gone, oh shit, this is a mistake. He's not one of us. He's super weird and annoying. And he literally moved into a government department. And yeah, the whole thing that he's not elected, like that, I dipped my toe into the conservative subreddit, like the American conservative subreddit. It's really interesting because there's definitely a large portion of like MAGA cheerleaders and cultists, but there's also a lot of commentary from what I would say would be more traditional conservatives, and even they are going, this is fucked. Like, why is this guy talking about a third term, an unconstitutional third term that no one has asked for? Why are people turning around to him and going, yeah, this is a good idea? I'm conservative. I don't want a king. And then when it comes to Elon, they're like this is where it sort of blows back on them. Who is this foreigner coming in and wrecking everything? So I think they're right to get rid of him. Whether they absolutely get rid of him or not, or just go, hey man, can you just chill and not be in front of a fucking camera saying the most insane things, because it's blowing back on us now.
Yeah, he definitely. I think someone said he's got no riz. Essentially, he's very socially.
Oh, he's a riz black hole.
He does. He doesn't have the sort of charisma that Donald Trump has, which
I
kind of carries the party. You know,
I don't know how many. I don't know whether you watch Saturday Night Live or how many in the chat watch Saturday Night Live. But I watch quite a bit, and the episode of Saturday Night Live that Elon features in is possibly the worst thing I have ever seen. He's just like, we all know someone like this that thinks they're the life of the party, that thinks they're the really smart, like, especially if you lurk on the internet, right? You can just tell that he's an internet doofus. One of the things that I have been enjoying so much is his daughter, what's her name? Is it Vivian?
Oh, yes. Oh,
absolutely roasting him at every opportunity. And
did you watch the Hassan interview with her?
Oh, yes. It's so
that
good.
was worth every second.
Like, it was... She's so righteous on it. Like, yeah, your dad said that you died of the woke mind virus, and she's countered with it. Did you know that he's a Torbjorn main in Overwatch, and he's ranked bronze? And I'm just like, oh, that's almost too much. You have burned that man down to the foundation.
No, what burned it was her. She was saying that he always he wanted them to play with him because he's like, oh, come on, guys, let's play Overwatch together. And it was only because they would carry him.
As someone that
these
played
two
a lot
13-year-olds would, less. I think they were even like 8-year-olds, just absolutely roasting their father.
I used to
Every
play quite a
opportunity.
bit of Overwatch, and for me, just to see that in a headline that Elon Musk is a Torbjorn main was just like, oh, that's so mean. I love it.
So good. I highly recommend watching that the interview with her and Hassan. He's really good about it. He was very clear that it's not about. I mean, the reason that I don't know if anyone. I think you guys might have already talked about it, but essentially there was a fight between Elon Musk and Hassan because Hassan got paid by. What is it? EA Activision, is it?
Oh, that's
Assassin's
right.
Creed.
Yes. Yeah.
He got paid to do a promo of the game, and Elon called him out for being a shill or something along the lines, a sellout. That's what it was. And essentially, there was a fight between the two of him, and Hassan's like, I don't give a shit. Like, fuck off, Elon. I don't care. And he's like, the only reason you're mad at me is because I had Grimes on my show, and you know, she called me a hunk. I think it was something along those lines. And then the Assassin's Creed account eventually got onto it, and they're just like, Elon, you don't even play games. You use a fake account to play PoE. Can't remember the exact one. It was fantastic.
He got assassinated by the Assassin's Creed social media team, which is just amazing. I would have paid any amount of money to be in the room with that social media team where they're like, shall I do it? Shall I do it? Shall I hit enter? Are we doing it? Are we doing it? Okay, I'm gonna. I sent it.
And that was after
So
the
good.
team had been warned to not, because of all the backlash around it being woke, because one of them is a woman and one of them is a black character, and it's not historically correct.
A woman in a video game.
I know, is the dual protagonist. But I think I can find the tweet. They came out just to say it, and it's fucking hilarious. We'll see if I'll find it. It's worth it. But that's the reason that Hassan had Vivian on the show, was just another flex of being like, oh, well, Elon Musk, you suck even harder. I'm going to get your estranged daughter onto the show. And they had a great interview. It was fantastic. And he's like, look, you don't have to talk about him. We can just talk about like things you like and what's going on in life for you. And they had a great conversation. She's very much a 20-year-old, and it shows. But the little tidbits you got about her dad were just gold. Just gold.
It's almost like Elon's under siege in all directions, right? Politically, he's toxic waste. His kids hate him. Basically, anybody that's had a baby by him hates him. Tesla seems to be cratering. It's down 13% in the last week. Yeah. Oh, that's so
Elon
good.
Musk. Hassan is a fraud because he played the video game. Sellout would be more accurate. Objectively, he is promoting a terrible game just for the money. Assassin's Creed, who are on a social media blockout to protect its, reputation, whatever people, says, is that what the guy playing your Path of Exile 2 account told you? Great.
I can only imagine how many layers of approval that tweet went through.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like I would imagine, as well as the social media team, that there was a team of about 17 lawyers and upper management just going, yep, green light,
yep,
take him out.
That's worth it. On his own platform. Ugh. Someone was asking for the link to the Vivian video. Do you want to read out some super chats while I quickly grab that?
Yeah, sure thing. Danger of the mouse. Tank the US stock market, buy low, reverse tariffs, sell high, Elon Trump gets richer. That is actually my thinking as well. I think the people that have enough money and knew that this was coming enough to protect themselves are going to make monumental levels of bank. Absolutely. XLD, Trump doing the Oprah of tariffs. Everyone gets a tariff. You get a tariff. Jeremy, very late. $2 late fee.
Very late.
Kiwi Bear with a super sticker, which again we can't really see, so I'm sure it was very, very good. And Vanda knows that they were very late, so we get a $5 one. Thank you very much.
Didn't put the tariff on it though, so does it count? Does it count?
We'll follow up after the show.
I put the link to that interview on in the chat if anyone wants to go watch it. It's like an hour and 30 minutes, but trust me, it's the best hour and 30 minutes of your life. It's worth it just for those little nuggets about how fucking dumb Elon Musk is. Yeah, so we got lots to look forward to in that regard. I'm sure there's more information to come out, not only in regards to tariffs, but Elon's downfall, perhaps. I don't know what's going to happen, but it could be quite a different Republican Trump presidency with him gone. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting my hopes up.
Yeah, I got to say, I can't think that it's going to change too much. I was talking with some friends of mine why this Trump regime is so different from the first one. And I think if you look at the people that were around him the first time, they had a lot more people that were like, well, we're going to have to show him the ropes. You know, he's more of a figurehead. We need some adults in the room. All of those people are gone. Around him at the moment, I think there are two types of people: true believers and people that think they can point him in the direction that they want to go. And whether they're able to or not, or whether the cultists are just too powerful. Like I can't believe this. There are career politicians that think that this is a great idea, and I think the only thing that gets them there is I am smarter than Trump, so I can make this to my advantage. I don't think they see how dangerous this is.
Well, I guess we'll see. Well, I just realised it's Australian 99 cents for that super chat. I didn't even know you could do that. Well, shall we come back to New Zealand for uno momento?
Yes.
Treaty Principles Bill. I think you guys talked about this earlier in the week, but there's been some updates.
We tried to. I think I touched on it very briefly, but we did just other stories and interviews just kept on pushing it. Long story short, with the Treaties Principle Bill, there were so many submissions that up until today, they were just going to not look at any of the physical ones. So all of the people that took time
if you'd like.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you've got the story there. Why am I fucking giving you the cliff notes for it?
Well, I can do the same, and then you can have your say if you'd like. Some strange stuff in this. But essentially, 29th of March, what was that? That was like last week, wasn't it? It was... Wait, what day is it? It was last week. It was last Saturday.
Yep.
Last Saturday, this was released. Treaty Principles Bill, thousands of submissions to be excluded from parliamentary record. They were essentially, I believe the committee sort of speed run the select committee process to get the report done.
Yeah.
The report was supposed to be done by they had it earmarked for the 16th of May, I believe. But this didn't really say why, but essentially the committee just got the report back early because they could. And it was set to be released or given to Parliament tomorrow. But obviously that would mean that thousands of hard copy submissions would not be considered. And of our other favourite human, Duncan Webb, friend of the show.
Duncan Webb was raising hell about this.
Yes.
All weekend.
Yes, he was doing a great job of putting some noise around it. But my favourite quote from this particular article was from the old Christopher Luxon. Says, we want the bill to come back to the House to be able to vote it down. Ultimately, Labor and Greens have got to determine whether they're going to just carry on with it through a select committee process or whether they just want to end the bill, he said. So it's all Labor's fault. I think the select committee's done its very best it can to make sure it hears the sentiments expressed on all sides of that debate. I fucking hate that line. But, now is the time to move on. It's up to the committee, and it's frankly up to Labor and Greens as to whether they want to extend the process and play politics, whether they actually want to end the bill. And we are ready to vote down the bill. Webb says that he did not believe in giving every New Zealander who wanted to say on the matter the opportunity was slowing up the process. And supposedly they had another month and a half to get this done. Ye old James Meager was one of those people that voted down the possibility of extending the deadline so that all of those hard copy submissions could be put through. However, that was on Saturday. Then the Prime Minister on the 2nd, which was yesterday, doubled down on allowing exclusion of Treaty Principles Bill, saying, I can't see what he said, but academics basically said that would be pretty bad on the democratic process to exclude, and it would set a bad precedent if we just ignored all these submissions because we didn't have time. Supposedly we did have time.
Yeah.
Then today, and he made the same thing. Ultimately, Labor and Greens have got to determine whether they're going to carry on. So blame Labor. Which is
The same thing. Yeah.
Today at 2:11.
Super late in the day. Yeah.
Do you think that's late? Duncan put out I don't know, it's not really a press release, but he was talking about the deadline and how it was moved forward, and he had tried to get an extension, but the deadline actually got moved early. Webb said the committee had rammed it through with outrageous haste, and the early report would exclude those thousands of submissions. With the government members rushing to report the bill back early, the process is exposed for what it really is, a sham. He said this shows utter contempt for the many New Zealanders who took the time to submit, and those views are now being missed from the record. This is an appalling lack of process on a hugely consequential bill. Then, that was at 2:11 today. Finally, at 7:09 p.m. today, Parliament agrees to add all treaty principle submissions to the public record.
What a shambles.
A strange turn of events. Parliament has unanimously agreed to allow all submissions on the Treaty Principles Bill to be added to the public record after a last-minute motion was moved by ACT MP Todd Stevenson. It comes after thousands of submissions were to be excluded from the record because staff did not have enough time to process them, raising concerns about cynicism when it comes to engaging with democracy. Thursday afternoon, Stevenson sought leave to move a motion without notice or debate that the Justice Committee be authorised to table and release or return submissions of the principles of the Treaty of Waitangi Bill as if the bill were still before the committee after it has reported the bill to the House. So essentially, the submissions are not going to make a difference to the report, but they are going to be in the record.
Mm-hmm.
He explained that the Select Committee have to report bills within a certain period, and once they reported to the House, any submissions that haven't been tabled or released don't actually necessarily form part of the record. So essentially, they can keep going, they can read them all, put them in, make sure they're on the record, but essentially it doesn't really matter to the final report that's being put through.
And honestly, if we were to look at the submissions that have been seen, the digital submissions and the in-person submissions and that sort of thing, I agree that they're not going to make a difference. I think they put this out there, and I've talked about this right from the get-go whenever I've encouraged us here, the BHN whānau, to make submissions, something that not a lot of people did. It was just, why would you? It's boring. But we practiced, didn't we? Knowing that this was coming, and we made noise, and there was a huge amount of noise made about this, and so many people made submissions. That's why they didn't have time. They got absolutely flooded with submissions. But from what I've seen and from what I've heard, overwhelmingly, the submissions were against the treaty principle bill. And so I get where Luxon was coming from of like, look, we've said that this isn't going to go anywhere, and I want to wrap it up really quickly so this doesn't stink its way all the way to the election, because you're a bunch of short-memoried idiots. And I want you to forget all of this by the time the election rolls around. And Seymour, he just wants it to be toxic enough that he can bring it back as a publicly initiated referendum. But he also wants to wrap it up real quick because it hasn't gone the way that he thought it would. My whole thing, like, I kind of think that this is a happy compromise, because if you've gone to the effort of making a handwritten submission to this, like, that's meant something. Like, it takes almost nothing to sit down and fucking hammer out an online submission into the portal and away it goes. If you'd actually fucking written a letter saying what your thoughts are, that deserves to be recorded. And I think that's the main thing about this. That someone to go to that, maybe that was the first time someone had made a submission. Maybe that's a kid taking his first steps into the political process and that sort of thing. To then hear in the news what goes, ha, lol, sucker, doesn't matter, we're not even going to look at it. Peace. That's a shitty precedent. So I'm glad that they're going to be recorded. I'm glad that it's going to be public record, because this debate, for lack of a better word, around the treaty is a piece of our history. So to have that recorded officially, I think that's really important. I think, as dismissive as Luxon is about this, he wants to speed run and get this done. So it doesn't. He's never wanted it to stick to him. But as we've always said on the show, he's the one that allowed it. He's the negotiator that thought that this was worth putting into the public debate. He owns all the toxicity of it and everything that comes of it, everything that it stirred up. Luxon owns it. Seymour might have birthed it, but, oh God, my analogy's falling apart. Luxon's definitely the proud father and midwife. I don't know. Doesn't work. It's too creepy. I'm backing out of it now.
Please do.
Yeah, thank you. Graceful.
Very graceful. Yeah. I was hoping to have Duncan join us on the show tonight, but he was on a plane, unfortunately.
Yeah. Duncan's done some great work around this.
He has.
He's added a lot of visibility into the process. His comments on Blue Sky about how it was going was invaluable. I really, really appreciated it. We will get him back on the show.
Absolutely.
I'm sure once it's all done and dusted, he'll have some thoughts.
Yeah, no, he's been awesome, and it's nice to see. It's nice to see that it's kind of been kept top of mind a little bit. Didn't really go to the background too much. There was still a few reports here and there about some of the high level people that were submitting and oral submissions and that sort of thing. So I'd be really interested to read the report. Do they publicly post that report?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so, and I would hope so. It could be a fascinating document.
Yeah, be interesting to see, or even just the numbers of for and against, or the arguments made against, for and against.
Well, I guess that's the thing about it as well, is it's not like a democratic vote where they go, and especially that's important with what we're talking about here, is that they're entering into record but not considering all of these submissions, right? It's not necessarily a democratic thing of like, we had X amount for and X amount against, so we're going with the highest number. It is literally like you're trying to convince people on the strength of your argument. And I think certainly the times that I sat down and watched the oral submissions, like there was a glaring gap between the two sides. That the people that were against this bill had an enormous depth of knowledge of New Zealand history and why the treaty is important and constitutional issues and that sort of thing. And then those that are for it were like, I think Māori have it too easy. And all of my mates at the bowling club agree. It was shocking.
I, at first glance, cannot see the report yet, so I'll keep an eye on it for tomorrow and see if there's anything. But I imagine there will definitely be opinion pieces, analysis pieces that people will do who are much smarter than us to break it down.
Yep.
Which will be, I look forward to it. It should be very interesting. And hopefully we can get Duncan on to talk about it, because I feel like he needs a venting session, you know?
Absolutely.
I would. I would need one after doing that for the last 3 months? 2 months?
Yeah.
2 and a bit months? Jeez. Well, let's get to the next lot of, let's say, submissions. Super chats is the word. Technician for $2.22. Hey!
Sorry, press the wrong button.
Hey! $2.22 tariff fee and tip. Appreciate the tip. David Thompson says, or Thompson, sorry, for $2, walked past Webb today. Told him I loved his work. Good on you. Good on you. And not Bernadette for $3.49 says, right to repair bill submissions in tonight. Yes, that's a good point. They are. I think I've already done my submission on that.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's the next phase. It could be the next phase.
That's a really interesting point, piece of legislation, and it's always been something that I've kept my eye on in various parts of the world where that's become a thing. You know, it's especially for someone like myself that works in consumer electronics and that sort of thing. There are companies out there that make it borderline impossible for you to take the thing that you bought and own to a repair person to get it fixed. And it just seems so stupid that that's a thing that needs to be legislated, but it does. And I'm glad, like, what was it? New Zealand First threw their weight behind that as well, like a cross house bipartisan, like, yep, we think this is good. Good on them. And actually, while we're contemplating the other side, you know, the motion to have those submissions recorded, that came from ACT. I think that's a good thing.
Oh, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I agree that the whole process has been a bit messed up and crazy, but it is nice to see that someone from a party that perhaps we don't have nice things to say about, they're actually kind of sticking to their values a little bit, you know, democratic process, democracy, right to everyone have a voice, equal rights, blah, 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 you know.
Again, a very small
a person, yeah, of one person in the party.
Yeah, definitely not the whole manifesto. Just this one thing you did. That's it.
This one guy. Well, that's all the stories I had for tonight. It's only 10:10. Was there anything you wanted to add before you tootle away for your weekend?
No, I don't. I think you've covered all of the stories that I would have chosen myself. So
there was something I saw on Reddit that you might appreciate. I'll see if I can find it. I'm gonna find this week because I thought you might appreciate it. It was a melding of your two favorite topics. Two topics of interest to you. Oh, there it is, right there. NZ soldiers officially repping the laser Chewie patch.
Yeah, I love this picture so much. Can you make it a bit bigger?
There you go.
There is so much here. First of all, the range of facial hair. Like, some of those mustaches are definitely combat ready. Some of them need some more time behind the wire. I like the very cheap and very small New Zealand flag that has clearly just been unwrapped for this picture. And then, of course, the main reason that we're looking at it, that the New Zealand Army have a laser Kiwi patch. I would do anything to get one of those patches.
Oh, I'm sure I could find someone who knows something.
Such a good photo. And also, like, what are these guys doing? Are they looking at a topical map for an upcoming exercise? Are they planning a mission, or are they playing Fortnite? You can't tell. That photo could be anything. Amazing.
One of my friends was telling me that they went to some army thing where all the guys get together or whatever. It was somewhat work related, and they apparently they have like work issued laptops or whatever. And the person wanted to get, they're like, oh, well, if I'm going away for that time, I kind of want to get like a proper laptop. And they're like, oh, I'll get a gaming laptop. And they got there thinking that they might be like, oh, is that kind of like a bit much? Got there and like every other person also had bought a gaming laptop for work. So good choice. So I'm going to say they look like, I mean, they kind of look like Alienware laptops with all the weird bulky black, and I assume they're kind of green. They're giving off green vibes. I almost feel like bespoke laptops.
I just did a quick Google because I seem to remember this.
Demo troops.
Where is it? I've lost my screen. There it is. I remember this when this story came out, that New Zealand soldiers fighting in Ukraine were fighting under the laser Kiwi banner, and yeah, there it is again. I love this. Very hard to explain to my friends overseas because it is so dumb, but it's dumb in the coolest way.
Agreed. It's very cool. Oh, that's it from us tonight. Nice short one so that Chewie can go back to snoozing on the couch.
Sleeping on the couch. Like the
not because his missus
rocker I am.
Not because his missus kicked him off the bed. It's just because he was just busy watching TV and enjoying his snooze time.
Yeah,
which I don't.
Yeah, absolutely. No. So I'm gonna revert to that. I am going to go and turn myself into a little burrito, and lie on the couch.
Burrito. I'm just gonna quickly find and download today's outro, because I realise that the one I have is outdated.
Whoa.
Which would not be fair to Richard, who is a recent person that signed up to be a patron.
There's actually so many pictures of laser Kiwi in Ukraine. It's crazy. I don't know if it's the same flag, it's the same dudes. I like to think that there's many.
That's cool. At least we got something fun out of it, you know? That whole flag referendum. I mean, I personally liked the very, like, you know...
Oh, you're a red peak.
Mountain. Yeah,
I like the red peak as well.
It was subtle. It was, you know, it was still within, you know, Tau Māori, you know? With the right colours. I think it would have been fantastic, personally, but it is what it is. We got laser Kiwi out of that. It was worth how much million did we pay for that?
Was it 50 million or 500 million? I remember the 5. It was like
Terrible,
too many
terrible.
million.
Well, yeah, definitely too many million. Thanks for watching tonight, guys. We're gonna intro you out with the music. Because I'm very good at remembering to turn on the thing. There's a button that I keep forgetting to press.
So smooth.
Help us settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. For better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin.
stuffed it up. Still stuffed it up, guys.
What did you do?
Bloody stuffed it up.
What
I didn't
happened?
have the thing up. I thought when I pressed a button that it automatically put the thing on the screen and it didn't.
Oh.
Now I'm gonna start again. Again. One day.
Help us settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. For better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin. When the news that we're watching is hairy, knowing all the things that we need to be wary of. Like the rich have the hand out for rewards, while the many have to work out what they can afford. And the rest of us ain't paying attention, or maybe have questions we're too worried to mention. Other media is still dwelling on trivial facts, vetting peas from the rice and the mice from the rats, and picking and choosing a war path to run, linking ourselves with the hill to die on. It's gotta come down to a welcoming vibe, with an A in a self and a higher in mind. All have a lean either this way or that, and will be analyzed by both Chewie and Pat. With the evil in the world trying to mess with your head, and you're sitting on the couch, you're thinking chivalry's dead. Each night, 2 nights, they're gonna sing you to bed. It's Big Hairy News.
Thanks everyone for joining us tonight for this edition of Big Hairy News. Thanks Chewie for joining me, and I will see you guys tomorrow with Magenta. Any last thoughts there, Chewie?
Yes, thanks for being a substitute Pat tonight. I'm sure he'll appreciate it. And yes, tune in tomorrow for different people talking about different things.
Let's hope, let's hope. Hopefully some positive news. Yeah, see you guys tomorrow night and have a good weekend, Chewie.
Thanks, Ems. Catch up.
Jenny.
Ha 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 ha.